All right, so today, as I said, we're going to talk about multiples and the analysis of multiples. So let's talk about where we were in our last class. So here is, from the book reading and from the PowerPoint lecture note, basically the formula for enterprise value to EBIT. All right, and just remember that multiples are based on the key value driver formula, which we've been talking about since day one in the book, and they're really a representation of growth and spread. So when we do multiple analysis, I think it's helpful to understand the key value drivers behind them, because it'll start to understand why a company trades at whatever multiple they trade at. So we're going to start out by focusing on enterprise value to EBIT. And as we talked about as well on Monday, since we're doing intrinsic value, future cash flows, we care about future or forward multiples. So in our valuation model, back to Excel, what we did for Costco in the assumptions tab is down here, we created, using at the time what the current EV to EBIT was and what our model's EV to EBIT was as we did the valuation. We kind of built that in, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, instead of finishing this assignment in the valuation model, I'm going to do it in a separate spreadsheet just to make it kind of simple and easier to see the drivers. So let's go back to our video here. Okay. All right. So for Costco and for multiples, the enterprise value multiple, which is here, there's really four things that drive the rearranged EV to EBIT multiple. They are the G into perpetuity, which is what we're going to solve for, right? The expected or effective tax rate going forward for the company, okay? We look at the expected ROIC, and we need a WACC. Type this keyboard. Those are the four things that we need that are part of the EV to EBIT. That will get us an EV to EBIT, and this is the actual number that we observe in Bloomberg. And again, we're looking at forward year 2. So I'm going to do it based on real-time data. So at the time of this video, if I go back to Costco, Costco. At this stock price, 162.25, go to the EEO screen, and we want second forward year. Now, quick way in Bloomberg to figure out the second forward year is this kind of pinkish red is, you can see here's the actual, forward year 1, forward year 2. So in this case, 2019. So 2019, EV to EBIT today, it is 36? Remember? No, 15.08. 15.08. Right now is the actual. That's the number we're trying to get to. Okay. Now, we need to know these three numbers. Right? We need to know a WACC. We need to know an expected ROIC. We need to know an effective tax rate. So the WACC, and again, when we did this in the model, so I'll pull this from the model, we looked up the WACC in Bloomberg, and it was 8.7% at the time of the valuation. So I'll do it based on that, just to be consistent with what we did in the model. 8.7. Switch this to today. Our spreadsheet's open. 8.7%. Okay. Then we needed a expected ROIC. So this is a representative ROIC into perpetuity. Okay. So in this case, what we were using in the model is we had forecasted 6 years of Costco, and the year 6 was the perpetuity value that we were using. So if I go back to the valuation, that was this continuing value ROIC of 19.1, which came from here, the EPEOY 19.1 was the expected ROIC into the future based on our forecasted as-is valuation, right? And the thing about Costco is they've been pretty predictable as we looked at them. So I think that, the analysts are probably going to assume that, hey, they're probably going to keep maintaining their margins, maintaining what they do in the future. So I don't think they're going to use a dramatically different ROIC for Costco in the future than they are in the past. So I think 19.1 plus or minus a little bit is probably a reasonable number. So let's use 19.1. So let's go back to our multiple spreadsheet and we'll put in 19.1%. And then the final thing is we need a representative tax rate for the future, right? And again, the best way to do this is to get this from the company itself, right? So if you look up in the analyst reports or you read the transcript of the earnings calls, the company will talk to you about what the tax rate is because they want the analyst to know. So they'll say, look, our guidance for tax rate is whatever percent. And that's usually the best way to do it. But if you don't have that, you can at least look, as we did with Costco, at historical tax rates. And again, they were pretty consistent. So the one we used in the video for tax rate was, for effective tax rate, put that in the ratios, 33.9. So about 34%. So I'll just round off for this purposes of the video, and I'll call that 34%. Okay. So the only thing we need to do is we need to basically solve for a G, kind of like we did in the model, that basically gets us a similar EV to EBIT and put in the right formula. So the right formula comes from the key value drivers formula. So with the correct order of operations equals left paren 1 minus the effective tax rate times 1 minus whatever the G is divided by the expected ROIC. Take all of that and divide by left paren the WACC minus the G. So without any growth, we would expect about a 7.59 EV to EBIT. So obviously Costco is expecting some growth. So again, 4%, G, make it a little bit bigger, 5, 6, 5.7, 5.6, a couple of basis points we were matching. Again, this is pretty much what we did on Monday. Questions about any of that? All right, so this is what I'm saying. The reason why Costco is trading at about 15 times EV to EBIT is because the market is using these approximate assumptions. Right? And we're getting these assumptions based on the second forward year. So here's the practice I want you to do right now. Right? So again, using Bloomberg and the data right now, I want you to estimate the EV to EBIT Gs that give you the EV to EBIT that match the actual forward year 2 for Walmart and Target. You're not doing this one for a grade. This is just in-class practice. Go.